Hi, Happy New Year. I know it's February, but this is the first time I'm talking to you for this new year. So I just wanted to say Happy New Year. Now, I am starting a new series entitled In Medicine, and I wanted to start off with motherhood in medicine. For those of you who do not know, I am currently pregnant. Don't know if y'all can see my little bump. So I'm currently pregnant with my second child, and as a physician, I figured I'll start off with the topic, motherhood and medicine. So stay tuned. Now, I definitely want to talk about the challenges and my experiences as a mother in medicine, which a lot of you will probably relate to, even if you're not in medicine, okay? The first point I do want to talk about is the timing of being a first-time mom. Especially if you're in medicine, it can be really challenging to try to figure out when you want to start having kids. So we have a very long training period. You have to be a pre-med, so go to college for your 4 years. And a lot of times you may not get into medical school right away. So you might have to do other things before that. And then you finally get into medical school, and that is 4 years. And then you have residency, which is at least 3 years. So 4 plus 4 plus 3, it is at least 11 years of training. And those years are your good fertile years. So really trying to figure out, what time, when, how is it all going to work? You want to be a first-time mom can really be challenging, especially if you're in medicine. Now, for me, to be honest, I originally didn't even know if I would have kids and get married. As I moved along my training, things changed, but I had to be very, very intentional. I ended up joining a dating app, Match.com. Sponsor me, Match.com, okay? And met my husband there. We got married about 1.5 years later, and we had kids 3 years after that. So we decided to have kids after residency. And the biggest thing is because I was still training. I wanted to give training my all. The problem is that training is very rigorous, okay? Pre-med, medical school, residency, and sometimes even fellowship can be very rigorous. The hours are super duper long, 80-hour weeks, sometimes even longer. Very little pay, lots of stress because, you're learning how to manage patients for the first time and juggle everything else. So we decided to just hold off and wait until I had finished my training and we were essentially ready. Now, there's no perfect time to have a child. It's honestly when you and your partner are ready. That is the truth. But this long training and all the stress that comes with it can make it very, very challenging for, a lot of women in medicine to even want to start having children. And with that comes along with a lot of different repercussions and consequences with, delaying having children. So that pushes me to the next point, which is a lot of times there are fertility issues in female physicians that want to be mothers. A lot of times because they've delayed childbirth and they've delayed the process of getting pregnant, it's harder. According to a JAMA article in 2021, 1 out of 4 female physicians deal with infertility, which is way higher than the national average. Also, the age in which a female physician has her first child, the average age is 31, as opposed to non-physician females, which is 27. Female physicians tend to have a lot more infertility, unfortunately, because they've delayed it for a long time. And again, even finding a partner is challenging sometimes. You're using all your energy to study and excel and focus on taking care of patients, on passing the boards, step 1, step 2, step 3, CS, CK. So many sacrifices, so much focus, so much energy, both mentally and physically. You just a lot of times don't even have the bandwidth to even think about, oh, well, I'm getting older. Let me go ahead and add a child, right? And so that makes it challenging. I know when I was actually a fourth year medical student, I was actually single at the time. So my friend and I actually looked into egg freeze and like the cost of it. And we were astounded. And this was about 10 years ago, it was $30,000. Now, thankfully, some companies are incorporating it into their benefits package, and insurance companies sometimes does assist with that. But overall, it's very expensive if you do have to go through something like IVF, IUI, surrogacy even, which are options that are out there now, but they're still pretty expensive. So a lot of times, because we don't make a lot of money until we are tendings, we can't even fathom going ahead and getting on board with that. So that's one of the challenges I would say of trying to be a mother in medicine. Now, I told you before that we waited until I had done all my trainings. I was done with residency, and I refused to do a fellowship because the girl was tired, honey. I said, no more, honey. I'm tired. I got to make this money. I got to help these people. I love people. Because I love helping them, but I got to eat too. Okay. So we also thought about the amount of support we would have, right? Family support especially. So when we were in residency, we were about 4 hours from my in-laws and 12 hours from my mom and stepdad. That wasn't feasible. We would get no support with the baby. That would make no sense at all. And as I know now, as a second-time mom to be, honey, you need all the support you can get from family, from friends. I'm learning that you even have to pay for it now because times are hard. Grandparents are working. Grandparents might be far away. You do have to find ways to find a village. You cannot do it alone. It's very challenging. It's a struggle. If you need to get that nanny and you can afford it, go ahead and get it. If you need to get that lactation consultant and you can afford it, go ahead and get it. And that's why money is also very important. And that's another reason why a lot of us delay having kids, because we don't get paid much until we are tendings, okay? So unless you have, a husband that's not in medicine or a partner that's not in medicine, and they have a very lucrative profession earlier on while you're training, then, obviously that would work. But if not, then that makes it very challenging for a lot of us, especially us that are trying to be mothers in medicine. Now, aside from family support, also support in our jobs, honey. Woo! I don't know what's going on with America. Well, I do know what's going on with America, but America is a hot mess. And I'll say right here, I don't even care, because the amount of maternity leave you get, especially if you're in training, residency, or fellowship, some people get as little as 4 weeks. Little as 4 weeks. Like, how can your body heal? Like, that's crazy. So that can be a deterrent for you to even try to have a child, right? And even if you do have a child, again, you're going to need that support during that time, especially if it's 4 weeks, 6 weeks, which I think is honestly not enough. You're still going to need that time to like just mentally prepare to go back to work, as well as bond with that baby that you just had, get your body back to the rigorous activity of working in a hospital, working in a clinic, and what have you. And so unfortunately, a lot of people don't have that support even in their jobs, especially in residency and fellowship. So they might go ahead and delay it even more. And that's, again, what brings about a lot of unfortunate consequences that we see. And another kind of support is also from your coworkers, your colleagues, especially if you're training and you might be in a surgical specialty or a program that kind of looks down on, people taking time off, or, they kind of a little salty about that. That can affect when you can have a child, because you're like, I just do not want to be talked about. I want to do my part. And a lot of people, unfortunately, go through that, especially as a woman in medicine. Thankfully, I didn't. My residency program was very family friendly, but not every single one is. And so that's important as a woman. If it's important for you to have kids, especially in training, especially if you're in medicine, you definitely need to make sure that you ask these questions during the interview trail, especially if you're a fourth year medical student about to match later on. So that's very important to consider, to think about. If your plan is to go ahead and still bite the bullet and still have kids in residency or fellowship, you want to make sure you ask these questions. You want to make sure that you're also if you're able to visit. I know things are different now. We do things online. I know when in my era we could go to the residency program, and you still can request to do that if you want to talk to some of the residents and ask them questions to kind of get a good idea, a good sense if that's the best fit for you, and if that program is actually family friendly. And that can also impact your specialty, right? If you're in a surgical specialty, you still want to ask these questions. How open are you to having kids in residency or fellowship, and really listening to what they have to say? And if they don't seem eager or open, then it goes down, honey, down on your list. But here are some of the many challenges that we go through as mothers in medicine, becoming mothers as mothers in medicine. Now, I did want to talk about childcare and stress of that. In America, it is an issue. It's expensive. It's challenging to get good quality care. It's even more challenging as a mom in medicine because, again, we have long hours. We have patients that a lot of them, it's life and death. A lot, they can, they're very critically ill sometimes, depending on what kind of doctor you are, or you build a very tight bond. You might be on call a lot of times. And so getting that help can be very challenging with regards to child care, and can be something that would deter a lot of women to have kids earlier than later. So this is just a short and sweet video. I hope you liked it. I hope you learned a lot, especially if you're pre-med. And I hope a lot of us can relate, okay, as women, and especially as women in medicine. So make sure that you put your comments down in the comment section, and don't forget to subscribe to my channel, and also make sure that you stay tuned for the next episode of In Medicine. Bye.